Good morning, everyone. I appreciate you guys jumping on here for the morning mindset here with Beto Paredes. If you're new to the morning mindset, please get out a pen and a notebook and plan to make some good notes. So, yesterday, for those of you that were jumping on, I actually was working very late night before, and I didn't get here in time to run the mindset. So, I apologize for that. I normally always make it. I will let you know that tomorrow will be the last morning mindset until I return from traveling. So I will be traveling for a period of time. I did already send the update out for that. So just realize I will be back. I'm out for almost 2 weeks. I'm traveling to India, and then I'm traveling to China. And then I will be returning. And upon my return, I will immediately start the mindset. So I will remind you guys of this again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last one until I return. So we'll be out for I think about 10 days, something like that. So anyways, today I've got a great subject for you. Okay, this is an important one that I even forget a lot of times, and it's just highly valuable to your daily performance, right? We're constantly trying to increase our ability to handle more and do more. And there's some real psychology behind this idea that I'm hoping that you guys could kind of capture a little bit and integrate into your daily performance. It's something that I know everyone struggles with on a fairly consistent basis. So you want to speed up, but stay steady. The simple facts are this: if you can do more in a day while staying efficient and focused, it will pay off. In fact, building momentum will become a habit. So, and I've talked about principles that I teach in my performance training on velocity and precision, right? In fact, I've even done a mindset on that before. The reality is that if you want to do more, you have to speed up. You have to actually start taking actions faster. And this comes down to almost everything that you're working on, from the time you get off a phone call to the notes that you're taking to the time you're picking the phone back up and making your next call. You want to focus on a consistent basis on getting faster. Okay, this is something that's very important. The whole tortoise or the hare philosophy that a lot of people talk about. I really wish there was a third animal, right? Because the tortoise that supposedly wins the race is really, that's I get it, but the reality is there's an in between land somewhere between that tortoise and hare that you're really wanting to try to achieve on a daily basis. Because when you're focusing on a steady pace, okay, what happens is your psychology starts focusing towards the idea of refining your ability to develop momentum. And if you're not constantly working to speed up what you're doing, not to the point that you're sprinting, but to the point that you've got a nice, quick, steady pace, if you're not doing that, then your psychology isn't focused on momentum. Okay, it's literally a sensibility, right? It becomes like one of your seventh senses, or I guess you could say, whatever you'd like to call it, where you're constantly focused on the idea that you need to develop more momentum. And this is something that you've got to do in every single thing that you're doing from the time that you sit down at your desk. Okay, it's almost better that you don't even sit down at the helm at this response area in your business. If that's your computer, let's just say, in your desk, your chair, it's better that you don't sit down in that chair until you are actually ready to start engaging and speeding up your process. You want to kind of look at that as that's your space, the space that you get into where you start to develop the momentum that you need. Now, this is daily, this is hourly, this is by the minute. It's very important to keep this sensibility going, okay? Because what you want to do is you want momentum to become a habit. Okay, developing the ability to move faster. And when I say move faster, let's talk about this in a couple different ways. So let's say you're writing something. Okay, and when you're writing something, you've got to be very thoughtful. You've got to get into some depth. Well, there's a difference between being very, very focused on what you're writing so that you can get that depth and keep the distractions away from you. That is a form of momentum. All right. So in other words, momentum isn't just moving fast, it's also removing any of the distractions that you may have from what you're focused on, right? For example, if you were running in a race, you wouldn't want to carry a whole lot of weight with you, right? So you'd want to wear very light clothing, have shoes that are built for running, things that keep you light, right? In other words, you're keeping that weight off of you so that you can keep a higher momentum for a longer period of time. And so even when you're doing things that take a lot of thought and depth, to develop momentum in that infrastructure, that ideology, you got to make sure all your distractions are out of your way so that you can massively focus on the thing that you're doing. That is what is going to help you develop momentum. Now, in the philosophy of talking on the phone, talking to a potential prospect, how do you build momentum with the prospect? Well, getting into a deeper conversation and trying to get all of the variables on the table for what you may be selling or discussing with the individual, and impressing on their minds as deeply as you can the conditions under which you're trying to present the information, is actually building momentum. Because it's either you do that in a very concentrated way while you're speaking with that individual, or you may end up having to meet with them 10 or 15 times. So I'm not talking about hurrying and getting off the phone so you can get on to the next call. Not in this, guys. But building momentum in this philosophy is going deeper into the conversation so that there's a higher level of impression made with the individual that you're speaking with. That's going to cut down the 15 calls that you need to do with that person to possibly 3. Right? So what did you do there? You just built momentum. Okay, so you've got to look at this in a couple of different ways. But then when it comes to your processes, taking notes, saving it in your CRM, picking the phone back up and getting on to the next call, it's the same idea of keeping the distractions out of the way. Don't stand up and go to the water cooler every single time you're done. Don't get distracted and talk to the person in the desk next to you every time you're between calls. And don't get overly excited about a really, really good prospect that you may have just talked to. I talk about this in other mindsets as well. Some of the distractions a lot of times that we have are the successes that we're having. We feel good. Man, that guy really, really likes what I'm doing. He loves the product. Really seems like he's going to buy. Pretty soon you're standing up from your desk, walking around all proud, when really what you should have been doing is getting into your next call. So it has more than just to do with speeding up your actions. It has to do with gaining more perspective and depth with the activities that you're doing so you get more done in a smaller period of time because you're focused, okay? So you got to look at that in kind of both ways. But when we're looking at your actions and your activities, take your notes faster, move on to the next call faster, get that sensibility of momentum from one action to the next as much as you possibly can. Think about it as a nice, steady, fast-paced jog. Walking will just slow you down. Sprinting will tire you out. You want to keep a solid, quick pace, okay? So if you think about a jogger, especially when you're looking at a long-distance runner, can go for a very, very long time at a good, solid pace, okay? So you want to have that pace in your day. If you're finding yourself relaxing too much, kicking back, watching a couple of YouTube videos, being very thoughtful or tortoise-like, let's just call it that, you're not allowing your mind to condition, or your brain, even your nervous activity, your nerves in your brain, you're not giving it the right arena. You're not giving it the right practice area in order to improve, right? Because you can, over time, by keeping that momentum and developing higher pace, your brain activity will allow you to figure out how to get more accomplished in smaller periods of time because you're conditioning your brain to do it. It is no different than conditioning your body when you're practicing martial arts to become faster, or conditioning your body to become stronger in order to lift more. If you keep your momentum, it will become a habit. If you keep that pace, it's a steady jog all day long. You can work 10, 15 hours, not that anyone should work 15 potentially, impossibly, but you can work for longer periods of time at a nice, steady, even pace, okay? And you've got to get to where you're doing this on a daily basis. If you could calculate the amount of time that you're actually wasting every day by the end of the week, just based off of the times you're just kind of a little too relaxed, you took a phone call that wasn't focused on business, you're thinking about things in your personal life, you're getting distracted by stuff on the internet, social media, whatever it might be. if you were to add up all those times that were counterproductive to keeping a nice steady pace on the things that you are trying to accomplish, you would be embarrassed. Okay, it would actually probably aggravate you and upset you to realize, even though you're trying your hardest to do what it is in your life that matters to you, especially if that's sales and increasing your income, that if you were to actually look and see, somehow if we had some imaginary calculator, how much time you waste, it would most likely for most people be well over 50% of your time. That's a difficult thought to have for a moment, and I'm at cause for that myself. I have to constantly be thinking about that myself, as much as I understand this principle. But we don't think about it in the moment that we're wasting time. We don't think about it in the moment that we're distracted. Okay, and then all kinds of thoughts come. That more weight comes in, right? More weight comes in when we allow ourselves that room. All of a sudden, we're thinking about our personal problems. All of a sudden, we're thinking about the anxieties that we might have from someone who's trying to buy from us, but they just haven't called us back yet. Okay, we give our brain all of this room for all of these other things to start coming in and start weighing us down. Okay, and so that's one of the biggest problems with moving too slow. Okay, walking, as I said, will slow you down. Okay, if you're not keeping a steady pace, you're literally opening yourself up for any of the aggravations, personal issues, challenges that you have to come and weigh in on the activity and the time that you're trying to spend in that day to get the things accomplished that you're trying to get done. Okay, so because the thing is, the reality is our psychology is going to fill up with something, right? There's not really a space that we can get into where it's just like this nice, relaxed, guru type of space when we're in the middle of our workday. Okay, usually what happens is our problems show up, our anxieties show up. So you're going to slow down if you're walking, right? So you want to keep a nice, steady pace all the time and keep as focused as you possibly can and get into the depth of the relationships that you have as far as you can in a minimal amount of time, but not jump past them so fast that really what you're doing is you're decreasing your momentum because you're not being clear enough with what you're writing or the discussions that you're having. So you want to look at this as focused depth as well as activities that you can move through quickly that you normally don't. And it'll become a habit. It'll be a sensibility. It will become something that you even feel like a surge of energy a lot of times when you sit down and you start working, because you've started developing that habit of creating momentum. Okay, that is super important. And you don't even have to sit here and write down a million things or guess as to whether or not you're developing momentum in your day. You could look at yesterday right now and really kind of go through your day in your mind and see where you were developing momentum and where you weren't. Okay, it's evident. Okay, this is an evident energy that you create that you know you have. And a lot of times we'll think about certain times in the past where, man, I really had some good momentum. I had a great day. But then you calculate that over the last month, and man, that might have been only like 2 days that month. Okay, and if it was only 2 days that month and we were wasting time in 18 of the other days, and we were allowing our personal problems to show up, we weren't keeping that nice jog during the day, man, you start calculating how much time you're missing there, and then put it into a year, put that into 10 years. Okay, that's not how we want to operate, right? We want to get a nice steady momentum, and we want to keep that as something that we're building as a habit. Okay, it's very important. So think about it as a nice, steady, fast-paced jog. Walking will just slow you down. Sprinting will tire you out. You want to keep a solid, quick pace. Okay. Speed walking may be another good way of looking at it, right? So you're paying close attention to the things that you're doing, but you're not sprinting. Now, I'm not saying that sprints don't happen sometimes, man. Deadlines come up. Very important to try to meet your deadlines every single time you possibly can. It happens to me a lot. I'll be very busy getting things done. I know there's a deadline coming up. I could push it if I wanted to, but I sprint for a moment just to get that done. So there's always variances that come in, right? But that's your daily steady pace. That should be 90% of the time that you spend is at that jog level. You're just moving, getting deep into the conversations you have so you can shorten down the time frames between the time that you're discussing things and the time someone closes, or if you're writing content, getting rid of the distractions so that you can get it done in the 2-hour period instead of the 15, 30-minute periods that it might take you if you are distracted. Okay, so that's our lesson for today. Let's get some fire in our cup. It's Thursday. Let's do some good stuff today. I will be here again tomorrow, and then again I'll be traveling for a little while. But as soon as I get back in office, we'll be right back at the Morning Mindsets. Thank you for joining me, and let's put some fire in our cup and make it a great day.